Brilliant. I think we'll get started. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Laura Hodgkiss and I'm the event and training team leader here at Staffordshire Chamber of Commerce. And I'm delighted to have you all here today for our No Panic event. I'm going to pass over to Pete Rossiano. So Pete, whenever you're ready.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our second event of 2021. By a little introduction about myself, I'm Pete Roster and I'm co-chair of Future Finest. After the success of our first event, Conquering the Abyss, which if you didn't manage to attend, you can find the recording on the Chamber's website, I'm excited to introduce today's event, No Panic. We have three great speakers joining us today: Lisa Taylor from Simple Share Healthcare, Dr. Yvonne Yates from Zen Buddy, and Helen De Santos from Horizons Coaching. Today's event will follow the same format as last month's, and therefore if you have any questions for the speakers, if you could put them in the Q&A section at the bottom of the screen. We'll be doing a question and answer after all the speakers are finished. We'll also be doing some feedback polls at the end of the event, and it would be great if you could participate in these, as these will help shape the events in the future. So I'd now like to pass it over to Dr. Yvonne Yates from Zen Buddy.
I'm just sorting out the slides. Hello, so I'm Dr. Yvonne Yates, CEO of Zen Buddy. Thank you very much to Staffordshire Chambers for inviting me to present on a topic that's very dear to my heart and one in which I've been working on for many years. So today's presentation is compassion fatigue. So, psychoanalyst Jung first discussed the trauma that can latch onto people when they listen to others' emotional pain. Nurse Joynson then referred to this as compassion fatigue from her work with emergency department nurses. It was psychologist Figley, however, that then researched it with various other professionals, including vets and people working in the military. He referred to the compassion fatigue as a secondary stress as a result of caring for other traumatized individuals, and he mentioned the cost of caring. You can see from this slide that two groups of people are affected: professionals and family and friends. So you can see that 16% to 85% of healthcare staff have compassion fatigue at any one time. Other people affected are psychologists, therapists, social workers, 999 operators, journalists and reporters reporting on bad news all over the world, lawyers and police. Family and friends of those in need as well suffer from those that they're supporting. So what are the risk factors? Well, anyone who has empathy and engages with someone who's experiencing emotional, physical distress or injury is vulnerable to compassion fatigue. If you have a caring nature, you're more likely to offer support to colleagues or friends suffering with mental ill health. Therefore, you're more at risk. And if you're neglecting your own self-care, compassion fatigue could come knocking at your door. So if you're working long hours, are you devoting sufficient time to your own self-care? People in our society are praised for working themselves to death, but this places you at greater risk of compassion fatigue. So we should be applauding ourselves for getting the work-life balance right. We're more likely to achieve more over a long period of time and enjoy our success this way. So especially for Future Finest talents, if you're at the start of your career, starting a new business, or you're in the early days of setting up a new venture, this is a message particularly for you. Pacing yourself can help keep you mentally strong and protect you from the clutches of compassion fatigue. The worst thing about compassion fatigue is that it sneaks up on you, and before you know it, you're in bad shape yourself and struggling with your own mental health. You'll find it difficult to support the person you were looking out for, and your work performance may be affected. I hear time and time again from people I work with, both colleagues and clients, that they never thought it could happen to them. They never considered that they would be affected by poor mental health. But when we track back, we can see that in some cases they were taking on the weight of the world, listening to others' troubles, and not spending sufficient time looking after themselves. They were experiencing compassion fatigue. If you take pride in being the person that can be counted on, always being there for others, brilliant, but put your own oxygen mask on first so you can help more effectively and protect your own well-being. So early studies in the field of mirror neurons identifies the depth of connection we feel when we look into the eyes of someone suffering emotional or physical pain. And I've added 2 video links here that illustrate this quite nicely. An accidental discovery was made by scientists, and it came about during testing monkeys in a lab. So there's a monkey going to grab a peanut, and the brain cell of the monkey, or the neuron, fired, and a noise sounded to alert the scientists that they'd done this. By accident, a scientist walked past, grabbed one of the peanuts, and guess what? The monkey's neuron fired again because the noise sounded. They concluded that the monkey's neuron couldn't tell the difference between seeing something and doing something. As humans, we're really good at reading faces. We learn and connect by doing this. So ask yourself, why do you get so involved when watching an important football match? We feel the anguish waiting for that penalty kick, the pain when the striker misses. Researchers found that there's something about humans that enables us to connect at a really deep level when we watch other people, their actions, and their faces. Researchers found that seeing others' emotions triggers the emotional part of our brain, the limbic system. When we see a happy face, it triggers the happy area of our limbic system. And the system helps us tune in to other people's feelings. This is empathy. We can adopt other people's point of view just by observing their faces. Actors are very good at making us imagine ourselves in their exact situations on screen, with their exaggerated facial expressions, which is why we cry when they cry, why we laugh when they laugh, and when they get angry, we get angry. When we're supporting people going through a tough time, we often go one step further than simply thinking how awful it must be for them, and actually imagine it happening to us, which places us at risk of compassion fatigue. The best thing is, there are lots of things you can do to refill your tank and feel strong again. But first, ask yourself, are you suffering with compassion fatigue? Could you be suffering with it? Are you at risk of developing it? Now, there's a specific tool that assesses compassion fatigue called the ProQual, and it's very useful in helping you spot where there might be a problem. ProQual can be accessed freely via our website link there. But here are a few signs to look out for in the meantime. So are you feeling drained or exhausted lately? Do you have disturbed sleep? Are you feeling more emotional or irritable? Are you less able to think, reason, remember, and process information? Are you having relationship troubles? Making more errors at work? Having trouble decision making? Feeling lethargic? Experiencing negative mood? Do you feel less worthy and hopeless about the future? So some of you might be thinking that this sounds very much like burnout. However, there are distinct differences between the two. So compassion fatigue develops directly from being empathetic for someone who's going through problems. It can happen rapidly on exposure to another person's stresses. In comparison, burnout develops from a buildup of stress and exhaustion over time. Now, you can experience both compassion fatigue and burnout if you're supporting someone with mental ill health. Each condition demands a different approach to combating the effects. So it's important to know the difference between the two. When you identify where your needs lie from the questionnaire, such as the ProQual, you can address them more sharply with a more structured approach. So what helps? Well, being aware, getting educated in the first place about compassion fatigue, checking in with yourself and reassessing your needs, understanding that what you're feeling is normal, prioritizing self-care, ensuring a balance, spending time with people who are enjoying positive mental health, and doing pleasant activities outside of work. Now, how to set up a schedule for good self-care is beyond the scope of this presentation, but you'd want to be looking at your responses to an evidence-based questionnaire such as the ProQual, as this would help you explore and identify your particular areas of need. Then you'd be in a great position to set goals and address them. Being purposeful about whatever strategy you put in place is important. So not just going for a walk every day, being mindful when you're walking. So engaging in mindfulness approaches is really good. And by that I mean focusing on the path you're treading on, the lifting and placing down of your feet on the ground, the smell of the air, the temperature you feel on your skin, everything you to do with your physical sensations that anchor you to the present moment and give your mind a break from racing, worrying future thoughts. Keeping track of your feelings is a good idea as well when you're supporting others emotionally. And this will tell you when you need to take a step back. You can use a simple scale, 1 to 10. The lower numbers might indicate no symptoms or a few symptoms, whereas the higher numbers might indicate several symptoms or many symptoms. Spotting the signs prevents you reaching severe levels, which are harder to recover from. So it's important to get in early with this type of thing. Some apps have a mood tracker that helps to do this quite nicely. So what I'd say is that after each of the strategies that you use, whether it's a walk every day or meditation every day, you could rate your mood before you do the strategies, before you meditate, before you take that walk. Ask yourself, how do I feel now? After the strategy, how do I feel now? And then at the end of a week, maybe do a weekly mood rating. How have I been over the week in general? And this helps you monitor where you're up to. So other things that might help are the famous 5. So we all know that we need to exercise regularly. We need to eat healthily, ensure a good sleep routine, make time for relaxation, and engage in social activities. These are all great things to sustain good mental health. We can meditate daily. The world's leaders can't be wrong. 5 to 10 minutes a day can make all the difference. There are lots of different ways to meditate. So these include breathing exercises, guided imagery, visualization, progressive muscle relaxation, and mindfulness. Now, mindfulness meditation has taken off in a big way, and it focuses the mind, setting employees ready for their day ahead. If you have some muscle tension on waking up, or even if you don't have that muscle tension, just checking in with yourselves when you wake up every morning for 5 minutes. See if you've got any aches or pains in your shoulders, or in your back, or your feet. And then do a quick progressive muscle relaxation exercise, tensing each of the muscles from the top of your head down to the bottom of your body, bottom of your toes, tensing each of the muscles for a few seconds, and then releasing the tension. If you're noticing any worries popping into your mind on waking up, make a quick note of them, write them down, get them out of your head. Or make a time when you can devote your full attention to them, and then distract yourself and get ready for work. Another thing that could help is journaling your worrying thoughts or feelings and help process them, reducing their impact. Journaling has come a long way since writing in your diary, and some apps offer an easy way to express your thoughts and feelings. App-based tools like Zenbody offer guided audio meditations and therapeutic support through animations. Online courses offer additional support to those caring for people affected by mental ill health. Check out some of our titles at Zenbody: The Cost of Compassion, Optimistic Thinking for Professionals, Anxious to Calm, Stress Less, Achieve More. So using all these self-care strategies, you'll feel the benefits. You'll have more energy, you'll sleep easier, you'll feel emotionally and physically stronger. You'll be thinking clearer and be able to remember more. You'll work to your potential and make better decisions. You'll experience stronger relationships, and you'll have a general more positive outlook on life. So lastly, here's our team. I'm the founder of Zenbody, that's a mental wellbeing company. Our new app and online wellbeing courses will be available mid-March. The information we're sharing through our animations, audio meditations, and courses are evidence-based. The features include cognitive behavior techniques, relaxation, mindfulness, and meditation. We also have a journal feature, a mood tracker, music, and therapeutic stories for people to use as a self-help tool to improving their well-being and keep mentally strong. But for now, thanks for listening. If you're interested in testing our beta app, which comes out soon, sign up for an extended 1 month free trial at the link below. Thank you.
Wonderful, Yvonne. Thank you ever so much. Really appreciate it. And we'll go to our next speaker now, which is Lisa. Lisa, are you there?
I'm here.
Perfect, fantastic. I'm just going to pop your presentation on the screen for you. So bear with me 1 second.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for asking me to share our current project that we're proud to have been selected by the UK's innovation agency, Innovate UK, to repurpose the work we've been doing with healthcare psychology to support and protect the mental health of staff in the workplace during and following the current COVID-19 outbreak. I'm Lisa Taylor. I've worked with Florence for 11 years now, following university and roles across the NHS. I'm by no means a technology expert, but my passion is truly motivating and engaging people to become more active in their healthcare, and really how technology can play a part in this. We're based in Stoke-on-Trent, and the IP for Florence is owned by NHS Stoke-on-Trent to develop innovative services deployed as friendly personas. So this includes Florence in the UK and Ireland, Annie in the USA, and Nellie in Australia to engage directly with patients. Next slide. So a very quick look at Florence, because she forms the evidence base as to why our application was successful. The methodology is exactly the same with the project. It's just that instead of supporting what we obviously call patients, Florence will now be supporting staff directly in the workplace. So you can see the view that the doctor or nurse normally can see when they log into Flow. It may be the HR department or the EAP service with staff. And for over 10 years, Florence was originally founded upon business psychology. And she's a digital platform used by NHS hospitals, general practice, mental health and community teams. And she's been formally evaluated across hundreds of clinical conditions in how she harnesses targeted behavioural psychology-based smart messaging to engage patients, change their behaviour, and ultimately help them attain better and faster clinical outcomes than just with normal care. Florence was designed by looking at motivation and what motivates patients to become more actively involved in their healthcare, and the whole methodology is about helping patients to help themselves. Florence interacts with patients using the simple technology that they already use with their friends and family, which is SMS. Next slide. So just a very brief sum of the independent evidence supporting Florence. This slide's particularly with reference to mental health. So Florence has got excellent outcomes in engaging patients to complete their mindfulness-based cognitive behavioural therapy, and she's had a result that patients were 8 times more likely to complete this with flow, which is fantastic. Impact upon depression symptoms and, you know, general improvement in health. Next slide, please. So Innovate UK set us a challenge, and that challenge really was to support that impact that COVID-19 is having on employees in the workplace. They recognise the impact on mental health and how this will impact on business and society during and beyond the pandemic. So they recognise concerns about health, about work, finances, children, family, and the uncertainty really that's being created and is bubbling away at the moment. At the moment during COVID, mental health is health, and a lot of people are feeling, you know, heightened stress and anxiety. What's the new normal? You know, routines are changing, lots of frustration, and you know, we want to support this. Next slide, please. So we partnered with a workplace mental health and wellbeing charity called Mates in Mind, who are also local, to repurpose our technology for use in businesses, really helping them to effectively manage the many challenges the staff are facing with their wellbeing and mental health. You know, whether it's self-isolation, how that's impacting on sickness absence. This will be delivered by through our evidence-based smart interactive messaging. And this is aiming to motivate staff, reduce their anxiety, and change some of the thinking and associated behaviours towards forming confident, healthy and productive personal and workplace habits, and really help reduce some of the feelings of loneliness and isolation. What we also want to do is look at aiming to create a sense of appreciation and well-being, and also impact to reduce the workload of overwhelmed HR departments. The project has been evaluated by Nottinghamshire University in an academic study led by a clinical psychologist, and we will be publishing the findings widely. Next slide. So we had to do a lot of learning, and we soon learned that there was quite a lot of mental health and wellbeing provision for employees out there, such as occupational health services, healthcare insurances that some employees are lucky to get through their job, employee assistance programs, which are mostly helpline services, so one-off calls that you would pick up the phone and ring your EAP service and get advice on the end of a phone. GP advice lines, and workplace health technology is there already. So they've got trackers, apps that monitor. Some are standalone, and some come as part of a healthcare insurance package. And after investigating this, we identified that the best market position for us would be really supporting access to the employee assistance programs. So that's the one we chose to do. Next slide, please. What we also learned from Mates in Mind as our industry experts, that workforce mental health and wellbeing support programs such as EAPs, employee assistance programs, are becoming more commonplace, mainly in medium to large businesses, and that 33% of employees are struggling at one time or another with their mental health and wellbeing, and that was before COVID. But only 1% of people actually access their EAP service that is provided to them by their employer. Employers know that people are affected in the workplace, but they're just not sure how to approach the problem. And EAPs underestimate how hard it can be for people to initiate the action to actually pick up that telephone and give them a ring. So therefore, the impact of the employee assistance programs could be higher. However, what we also learned was that the use of existing EAP services increases exponentially if the staff member has been referred to by a colleague or manager. Next slide, please. Human nature is that if people are nudged, they're more likely to reach out for help. And people recognise this sometimes as being given permission to seek support, especially if we can involve line managers to be able to intervene with their staff earlier. So what we wanted to do was use smart messaging to motivate and encourage people to look out for each other. And by that, they're also looking out for themselves. So, you know, you might know yourself that, you know, your colleague hasn't quite seemed right for some time, but, you know, have you actually done anything about that? So we want to empower people to give them the confidence to reach out to their colleagues who they can recognise are struggling. We also want to increase awareness of what support is available to staff members to help increase that access, because they may not even know that they've got access to the service or what the service is there for. We also want to help managers to be able to identify when their staff are struggling, and also motivate staff to access what support services are there already. We Mates in Mind identified for the project as a pilot industry, the construction industry, because they have a high proportion of male workforce who they felt were less likely to reach out to colleagues around mental health. And the construction industry has quite a few staff members who actually work remotely and work alone. Next slide, please. So I've put this slide in as a little example to hopefully explain how this would work. So on the right hand side, these are some of the interactions with staff that will happen between Florence and the staff member. These interactions are going to be designed with the company that we work with, and actually really link into what their current EAP provision is, and also target some of the key areas that they know about that do affect people's mental health. So it might actually be able to increase the access to the EAP service, but also give some interactive information around some key target areas such as money, health, family. So we're working through this at the moment with them. So we really hope, you know, that we can really encourage people out there to be able to look out for each other and to feel confident and supported, and actually just starting that initial conversation of asking if they're okay and empowering each other to just really help all ourselves through this. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you ever so much for that, Lisa. It was fantastic. Great. And Helen, it's next for you.
Okay, thanks, Laura, and a massive thank you to the Chamber and Future Finest for welcoming me along this afternoon. Great to listen to what Yvonne and Lisa have already covered, and hopefully this is just going to add a little bit more to what you've been already saying. I'm a life coach, and I do a lot of work on a one-to-one basis with individuals as well as groups, but I'd like to focus this afternoon on how you specifically care for yourself when you might be working or living with somebody else who's going through a mentally challenging time. So it could be mentally or emotionally, but sometimes you're the go-to person for support, but actually that's sort of piling more and more on your shoulders. So I just want to talk you through some tips, and then I'm actually going to do a relaxation session with you as well, which will be a nice way to finish the session off. But if you're finding somebody is constantly being quite negative around you, and that could be a reflection of how they're feeling, instead of actually asking them how are they, the stock answer could be one of two things. You're either going to get fine, or you're going to hear War and Peace about how awful their day is. And sometimes we're not actually wanting to hear all that, but you could actually ask that person, what's been the best bit about your day today? And that just makes a lovely, gentle assumption that for all of us, no matter how bad things might be, there's always going to be something that's less bad than anything else. So what's the best bit that's happened? What's been the best bit about your day today? Okay, so try that one. The other thing is, when somebody does want to sit down and really open up and talk to you, it can feel as if they're putting the world on your shoulders and really piling up the information with you. Now, I went through, I lost my mother last year, and I found, my husband found it incredibly difficult to know what to do. He wanted to fix things for me. And sometimes you actually can't fix the situation. But just sitting next to me and perhaps just holding my hand and listening was all I needed. Didn't need to say anything. Occasionally, I have known people just to sort of say, you know what, that's fine, or that's right. And just finding those odd words can actually be really, really comforting to someone who's very upset and distressed. The important point is for you not to feel as though you're taking on all their emotions for that person. It's not for you to try and fix. But when somebody is opening up and talking to you, what you might want to do is, once they've finished and they're winding down, is perhaps say to them, what would you like me to do with all this information you've just shared with me? Or is there anything you'd like me to do? Now, quite often the response will be, do you know what, it's just been great to have somebody listen. And then again, that's your cutoff point. It's not up to you to go away and do anything about it for that person. But what a lovely gift you've given them, just sitting and listening. So again, just thinking about what is it you'd like me to do with this information that you've shared with me. The other thing that both you and anybody else going through a mental difficult time, and this is a great one to do just when any of us are having a really bad day, is literally sit yourself down and at the top of a piece of paper write down, when I'm at my very, very best, I am. Now, if you're not in a great place, you know that there are times when you've felt on top of the world. Think about what you feel, how you are as a person when you're in that moment. So when I'm at my very, very best, it could be that you're confident, energized, kind, generous, empathetic, funny, humorous. Just keep reeling all those things down. But what you're doing is reinforcing at a very subconscious level that these are your finest and most best qualities that you have. So again, just reiterating that when you are really in a good place, those are the things that you feel, and that's how you normally are. It can have a surprisingly uplifting effect doing that exercise. And make sure you keep that handy to review from time to time. So hopefully there's a few things there that you can keep trying, as I say, for yourself, as well as when you're perhaps associated with it, so that you're living or working with someone who's going through a difficult time. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about this afternoon is a technique known as havening. And this has been created by two doctors in the US, Doctors Ron and Steve Rudin. And again, this is something that you can apply to yourself, but you can actually get the other person to apply it to you. And Yvonne was talking earlier about compassionate fatigue. And sometimes when you're listening to somebody who is sharing something and possibly is affecting you, or you're watching quite a traumatic film on the TV, you could apply the havening touch to yourself, because actually you're producing delta waves, which are really calming and soothing. We generally only produce delta waves when we're asleep. So let me just tell you a little bit more about havening before I get into demonstrating the havening moves. And then I will ask Laura to very kindly share some music. And we're going to have, just as I say, a little relaxation session. And invite you to try the havening whilst I take you through that session. But as I say, havening techniques are quite a radical, new and evolving form of a scientific therapy that helps permanently treat and heal trauma. As I say, Yvonne's hit on the fact that you can suffer with compassionate fatigue, which is usually either second or third degree, can be second or third degree trauma. It also is great for dealing with anxiety and phobias, as well as creates positive alterations in our brain so that it enhances wellness and resilience. So havening is a gentle psychosensory therapy, which actually changes the brain chemistry from being on that high alert, so that's when our fight or flight response kicks in, to feeling a sense of calmness and safety. So the thinking behind this and more of the theory is that our past experiences stay with us throughout our lives, and that can result in some unwanted responses or emotions in certain situations. So these past experiences can vary from significant trauma events that could produce PTSD-like symptoms, right through to relatively minor experiences that our brain has stored in a way that produces, unfortunately, a disproportionate emotional response. And that's all about actually protecting us, but sometimes it's not terribly helpful. And that's because our brain is very literal. It doesn't actually have the ability to rationally gauge what is traumatic and what isn't. So therefore, our brain sometimes stores past experiences in a way that means it sets off our primitive emotional responses such as anger, anxiety, and fear whenever something reminds us of that memory or event, even if it seems insignificant when we think about it in an objective way now. So by applying the havening touch, our brain produces delta waves, and these are, as I say, only produced when we're in a deep sleep. So this process then starts to remove the stress hormones and instead replaces them with calming, relaxing, and happy feelings, which are only going to be good for our well-being. So I'm going to just take a moment to demonstrate. Probably the easiest at this moment of time is to actually just start with your hands on the top of your shoulders and bring your hands down, just stroking your arms to just below the elbows. And what I'd like you to do is, as Laura sort of gears up the music for us in a moment, I'm going to ask that you join in and just try this as I take you through some guided visualization just to help relax you. And what you'll find is you'll get relaxed so much quicker. The other thing that you can apply the havening touch for is actually if you struggle to go off to sleep at night. Brilliant for doing that. And if you're in the workplace and something triggers you and you get upset, you can apply the havening by just rubbing the palms of your hands. But you do need to be doing this for about 5 or 10 minutes for it to actually become effective. Okay, so Laura, if you're able to share that music with us. Hopefully she'll be able to do that.
Just need to check the sound, Helen, so just let me know that you can hear it okay when I start.
Oh, could you just turn it down actually quite a bit, a little bit more? Okay, that's fabulous. Okay. So as I say, what I'd like to do is just invite you now just to get yourself nice and comfortable and just start to try the havening touch. What you might find is as you get more relaxed, that you may just find you no longer want to manage to do that. So I'll just invite you now to close your eyes and just take in a nice deep breath. And just begin to let go of any tension. Relax your body. Just start with one small area of your body that's tense. And just notice that area of tension. Allow it to ease slightly. Take in another deep breath. As you exhale, just feel the muscles, the area you're focusing on, become even more relaxed. Imagine breathing in relaxation and breathing out tension. Notice with each breath how you relax this one area of tension. You may want to scan your body now, other areas of tension. Choose one area to focus on. Concentrate on breathing in relaxation, breathing out tension. Feel your muscles relaxing, loosening. As you breathe slowly and deeply. Notice now where your body is most relaxed. Observe how this feeling of relaxation is growing, spreading to other areas of your body. Just feel your muscles relaxing. Becoming loose. Your limbs are feeling heavy and relaxed. Eyelids so heavy. Imagine now that you're near a beach before sunrise. Perhaps you are on the beach. The ocean is calm. The water looks very smooth. You see small ripples, gentle, peaceful waves rolling toward the shore. Just take a few moments to imagine this beautiful scene. capture all the details in this relaxing place. The sun has not yet risen. The air is cool, comfortable and pleasant. The temperature is very pleasant. It's a calm and comfortable morning. Imagine the feel of the slight, gentle breeze on your skin. The breeze blows just enough to move the leaves of the palm trees gently backwards and forwards. Leaves of the trees make a silhouette against the sky. Gradually becomes lighter. Imagine the fresh smell of the air. Scent of the salty water and sand. It's a clean, refreshing smell. And picture in your mind the sound of the water lapping against the shore. The sea is so calm. The waves so quiet. You can just hear them move gently and calmly. Hear the slight rustling leaves of the palm trees, the gentle breeze. It is early morning. You are the only one here. It's a calm, safe, pleasant place. Relaxing here near the ocean. Notice the sun is now starting to rise. You can see a spot of light on the horizon. The sun is rising right out of the water. See the light glowing. The sun begins to move above the horizon. Small streaks of light shine up into the sky. It starts to get lighter and lighter. as you're in this beautiful place, you remind yourself that you are good enough. That you have much to offer the world. You are kind. You are worthy of kindness and self-compassion. Today I will be the best version of myself. As you start to walk away from the beach, leaving the sun behind you, feeling the warmth on your head and shoulders, turning your awareness back to your surroundings. You know that you can come back to this beautiful place in your mind anytime you want to relax. Let go of tension and quieten your mind. Just slowly return your awareness to your surroundings. Taking in a nice deep breath, having a nice yawn and a stretch, and when you feel, just open your eyes once again. It's lovely. I hope you've enjoyed that and managed to partake.
Fantastic, Helen. Thank you ever so much. You did that to me the last time as well. We did a webinar together, and it was very, very, very good. So really relaxing. Thank you so much. Can I just ask all of the panelists, all of the speakers, just to pop their cameras on? Wonderful, fantastic, great. So now that we're here, we're just going to go through the Q&A. So anybody that's got any questions for any of the speakers today, if you would like to put them in the Q&A now, that would be fantastic, or in the chat function, but the Q&A is probably better for us at this point. So if you've got any questions for Yvonne, Helen or Lisa, please pop them in the chat now or in the Q&A, and I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that. Again, I will just give you a couple of minutes. And for those of you that do want to watch this webinar again, you can do. Like I said, we are recording it today, and we will be putting it on the Chamber's website under the webinar library. So one of the attendees has just asked, Yvonne, where can we have the links where your presentation that were on your presentation to the videos? Are you able to put that in the chat, Yvonne? If not, I'm sure we can get those So that's not an issue. And any other questions? Just give it another minute or so. There's quite a lot to take in, so our attendees are probably trying to take in everything, all the good advice that you guys have given them today, which was fantastic, by the way, and great to see 3 different styles of how you would sort of deal with certain situations within the workplace, and not just that, personally as well. So thank you for doing that for us today, because not one size fits all. So it's nice to see it from different angles, different people. So a question here for Lisa. Do you feel that COVID has forced people to talk more about mental health?
I'll just stop my video so you can hear me. I do, and I think that's a positive thing. What's really, I suppose, excited me is that from an NHS clinician perspective, yes, they're talking about COVID for oxygen monitoring at home and pulse monitoring at home, but they're actually also talking about how we can support the mental health of patients during COVID. So obviously this is different in the workplace that I'm talking about. But yeah, I think people are, I don't know if this is a personal opinion, I don't know if it's given people, because it's such a global pandemic and it's almost a uniform thing that everybody's going through, if it's given people a feeling of permission that they can say they're struggling, because it is so unprecedented and it is such a, you know, crazy thing that's happening. So, and that's a positive thing. So yeah, yes, I do. Yeah.
Brilliant, fantastic. And just one for Helen. So the question is, he's the gentleman in question just struggles to get into, apologies, sorry, I'm just reading his question properly. So just basically saying that they struggle to get into sort of that space, sort of the mindset, I think, where you were with sort of relaxing and almost meditation, and just wondered if it becomes easier through practice, and what sort of advice would you give on practicing that, and how often would you practice that and for it to be effective?
It does. Yeah, the more you practice, the better and the easier it becomes. And sometimes it's just about giving yourself permission to stop all that busyness and traffic in your mind. Just simple things like, as you're going off to sleep, because sometimes people do struggle, just focusing on your breathing, just actually, because you can't think of more than one thing at a time. So just literally starting to focus on your breathing, or thinking about you're relaxing. And I think Yvonne or Lisa hit on it earlier on, starting with your toes, thinking about all going all the way up. And you can even do a form of sort of tensing everything and relaxing, tensing and relaxing, literally each muscle from the tips of your toes all the way up to the top. And say, you only have to invest 5 or 10 minutes, but the more often you do it, the easier it becomes. I become quite mindful just washing dishes now.
I'm not sure I'll ever be that way about washing. we could try. So just a couple more questions coming in. Helen, when is the best time to meditate? Is it best to do it first thing in the morning or before you go to sleep?
Either. There isn't a one size fits all. It's what works for you. If you find you struggle perhaps to go off to sleep, maybe doing it in the evening is no bad thing. Some people enjoy doing it in the day, earlier in the morning, because it does set you up for the day. But try both and you'll find what works best for you.
Brilliant, fantastic. And just another question. How would you suggest is the best way to help someone who you feel is struggling with something, but they haven't voiced their feelings? That probably goes to all 3 of you, to be honest. How would you deal with that in reference to dealing with somebody that doesn't want to voice their feelings or their struggles? Whoever wants to go first is absolutely fine. Do you want to go first?
Okay. All I'd say is just let them know you're there for them. sometimes it's a case of, maybe just sitting next to them, holding their hand if it's someone that you live with, giving them a hug. And again, just to be reassuring, I'm here for you, and if it's somebody in the workplace, it's perhaps just subtly letting them know what sort of support is available. And I know, again, Yvonne and Lisa have talked about employee assistant programs. So again, it's just, and it's doing that in a way that that individual perhaps doesn't feel targeted. So it's maybe just raised at a team meeting. So you're just generally raising that awareness.
Yeah, and I think also, don't worry, you don't have to have all the answers as well. I think just somebody knowing you're there when they're ready is often enough to kind of break the ice around it. You haven't got to think, oh, I can't ask them because I don't know how to fix it. I think just being present and available to them is really reassuring.
Laura, sorry, you can't see me on the screen. I don't know where my video's gone, but I am still here.
That's all right, don't worry.
Yeah, I guess I agree with what Helen and Lisa have said, really. Just being there for somebody, just sort of saying that you're around. You don't quite know what to say, but you're here if they want to express their feelings to, or if they just want a cup of tea with you, that's fine as well. You could encourage them if they were feeling quite down to go and visit the GP or go with them, or go and see somebody to help them and facilitate a meeting with somebody else who help them through their bad times. So
wonderful, fantastic. I think that's all the questions for today, ladies. You've been absolutely fantastic, and such a great range of different styles of how to, because it's just fantastic that we're doing all this work around these sort of areas. And I'm very glad that COVID has sort of highlighted how important doing this work is. Peter, are you there? Wondering if he's here. If not, we're going to, fantastic. Oh, hi, Laura, you're okay. Are you okay for me to do the polls? I'm just gonna, he's gone, don't worry.
Yes, yeah.
That's fine. So for I know some of the attendees have left. They probably needed to leave early because of it being an hour. But we are just going to schedule the polls now. So what will come up on your screen as an attendee is a poll, and it's just a list of questions, and that we just need to answer. Just a quick survey, just about the event itself. So I'm just going to launch the poll now, and then I'll go through the questions with you, unless Peter, you're happy to do so.
You carry on, Laura.
Fab. Fantastic. So the questions that we're asking today is question 1, what category of event would you like to attend this year? And then we've given you sort of a multiple choice there. Question 2, do you prefer to attend a more passive event or a more interactive event? And then question 3, what event times would suit you best? And again, we've given you a multiple choice question there. Question 4, is it important to include optional networking after each event? And again, we've given you yes or no. Question 5, do you think you'll benefit from what you have learned in today's event on your day-to-day roles? And again, we've given you multiple choice there. And then question 6, do you work in the professional services? And question 7, asking you if you are a member of the chamber. It's really, really simple to do, and you can just do it now quickly. It only takes a couple of seconds. And I'll just wait for the remaining attendees just to give us their opinion. Brilliant, fantastic, and that's the end of the polls. Great, fantastic. So thank you for all attending today, and thank you for our speakers. We look forward to seeing you shortly.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.